In this video, we'll be talking about the Holocephalii, and we'll be taking a representative member of this class, of this subclass, which is Scoliodon. In the previous video, we talked about the chondrochitis, and we mentioned we take a particular representative of the order Squaliform, where we use Squalus acanthias as an example. And apart from that, I'm supposed to mention some others that are present in the elasmobranchia, which includes the Cacharniform, where we have the hammerhead sharks. We have the laminiforms, where we have the great white shark and mako sharks. We have the squaliforms, that is where we have the Squalus acanthias that I use as a representative of elasmobranchia the other time. We have the orectobiliforms, where we have the carpet sharks. We have the myobaliforms, where we have the stingrays, the eagle rays, manta rays, and devil rays, and we have them like that. But everything I just mentioned now is under the subclass elasmobranchia. So what about the holocephaly? That is what we'll be talking about today. But you have to have it in mind that in this video we are still on the chondrochitis, which is the cartilaginous species. Now, going to this class. Holocephaly, which is the chimeras. Member of this class, also called the ratfish, are remnants of line diverged from shark lineage about 380 million years ago, and they are believed to first appear in the Mississippian period and reach the zenith during the Cretaceous and the early Tertiary period. That is about 120 million years to 50 million years ago. And when they say something reach the zenith, it means they reach their what? They reach their peak. Now, about today, there are about 40 species that are extant, and anatomically, chimeras have several features that link them to elasmobranchia, which is because they belong to the same class, which is chondrochitis, they must have something similar. Now, but there are some things that makes them to be different from the elasmobranch, and these things are the things that we'll be discussing on today. We'll be discussing about the similarities as well as the differences between these two groups, and you are going to see it. Now, you have to have it in mind that all holocephaly, they are monodonts, which means they have the same set of teeth, because their upper jaw is completely fused with the cranium, and it is mostly unusual to other fishes. And their food include mollusk, echinoderm, crustaceans, and fishes. And they have mixed diet for such specialized ground indentation. Like I mentioned, they are what? They are monodonts. Now, let us now talk about the biology of a representative member of this class, which is the Scoliodon. Scoliodium has streamlined body. I already will tell you what a streamlined body is, and they have fusiform body, which means they are laterally compressed, which is used for efficient swimming. They are about 60 to 70 centimeter in length, but they can grow up to 1 meter, which is 100 centimeter. They are grayish on the dorsal side, and they are white on the ventral side, and this helps them in camouflaging. I think I've mentioned what adaptation of fishes and camouflaging is there, so they use this as camouflaging. So if you look at the dorsal side here, we have a grayish color, and if you look at the ventral side, you will see that it is whitish. So if you are looking at them from the top, you won't see them. If you are looking at them from downward, you won't see them. It is just like a camouflage, you understand? So that is what they use for camouflaging. And let us now move to, so this is how they look like as well. This is a Scoliodon. You will see that this side is grayish, and this side is what? This side is whitish in color. So they use for camouflaging. It is a mode of a mode of adaptation. So now this also shows the external characters of the Scoliodon, which we'll be explaining very soon. You will see that their body is streamlined. They have their mouth on the ventral side. They have the gill pulse. They have their eye. They have the lateral line, which is used for mechanoreceptor, that is used to detect movements in the water, so as to escape either prey or to escape predator or to chase after prey. And this image is showing the external features of a female dogfish shark, which is Scoliodon, and the second one is showing the male dogfish shark, which is the difference between their external structure. But that is not where we are going yet. Let us go to the biology of Scoliodon, where we'll be talking about the alimentary canal first. You see, the mouth of Scoliodon is ventral, and it is guided by upper and lower lips, which are in fold of integuments. And the buccal cavity leads to a spacious dorsoventrally compressed buccal cavity, and it is bordered with jaws, which means they have the upper jaw and they have the lower jaw. And denticles, or their dents, which is their teeth, are all alike. I've already said it. They are homodonts or monodonts, and they are born in several parallel rows in the inner origin of the upper as well as the lower jaw. The buccal cavity merges posteriorly with the large pharynx. The buccal cavity merges posteriorly with the large pharynx. So they have a pharynx, and the pharynx terminates into the what? Into the esophagus. The pharynx, it terminates into the esophagus. The esophagus has a thick maxillar wall with the internal lining of mucous membrane. They possess mucous membrane as well, which is an internal lining. And the esophagus widens posteriorly to form a large maxillar stomach, which we have here. You can see the stomach here. That is what we have there. That is the stomach. And it is large and it is maxillar. Now, the stomach is bent on itself and it forms a J-shaped organ. The intestine, the stomach, it terminates into the intestine. And the intestine is a wide tube that runs straight backward into the abdominal cavity, and it is like cardiac stomach in diameter. A short, narrow rectum is the end of, or the last part of, their alimentary canal, which I just marked now, which is the rectal gland. The rectum is the last part of the alimentary canal, and they possess what we know as the cloaca as well. They have the cloaca. They have the rectum as well as the urogenital ducts opens into this cloaca. It is inside the cloaca that the rectum as well as the urogenital ducts opens into through the anus. So they have the anus as well. Through the anus, the urogenital as well as the rectum opens into the cloaca. Are you getting me now? So this is showing the alimentary canal of the Scoliodon, where we have the ventral mouth, the pharynx, which opens to the esophagus which terminates into the J-shaped stomach, the J-shaped stomach which terminates into the intestine, and the intestine, it terminates into the rectum, which is the last part of the alimentary canal. You might be asked. And the rectum as well as the urogenital duct opens into the cloaca through the anus. That is what we have there. Now, what about their feeding and what about their respiration? How do they respirate? If you look at this structure here, you will see the gill slits. These are their gill slits. And what do they use gill for? Gills is used for respiration. So gaseous exchange takes place through the gills, borne on a series of gill pouches on either side of the head. And it should be noted that these gills is covered by a cartilaginous operculum for the Scoliodon. And this is one of the things that make them to be different from the corresponding Squalus acanthias, which has only gill slits without operculum. Now, water enters the mouth and passes through the buccal cavity, then to the pharynx, and goes into the external gills after bathing the gills. The respiratory organ is made up to 5 pairs of gill slits. Why is it pair? Because it is on this side and it is on this side. So if you look at this very well, if you look at the structure here very well, it is showing both the alimentary canal, the respiratory system, as well as the reproductive system of the Scoliodon. So you will see that from the mouth, it moves into the buccal cavity, which is the floor of the buccal cavity, then into the what? Into the pharynx, and this leads to the what? To the pair of the gill pouches. And the gill pouches is found behind the hyoid arc in the lateral wall of the pharynx, and it has two lamella. Now, what you have to note is that gills is used for respiration. Their gill is used for respiration, and this is how the water moves from the mouth to the vocal cavity, from the vocal cavity to the pharynx, and goes through the external gills then to back to the gills itself. And this is how gaseous exchange occurs. And what is this gaseous exchange, which is the oxygen that is derived from the water? What are they used for? That is what we'll be discussing very soon. Now, to their feeding and digestion. You see, Scoliodon are carnivorous. They are fully carnivorous. And digestion of food begins in the cardiac stomach, which secretes gastric gastric juice. And that is what you are seeing here. Let me zoom in so that you can see it well. So in this place, can you see we have the cardiac stomach? We have the cardiac stomach here. This is the cardiac stomach. That is where the digestion occurs. And it is this cardiac stomach that secretes the gastric juice. Now, the gastric juice, what is the function of the gastric juice itself? It converts pepsin and hydrochloric acid. It produces pepsin and hydrochloric acid that converts protein into proteoses and peptones. However, their stomach cannot digest chitins. So, what is the constituent of the stomach itself? It contains pepsin and hydrochloric acid that converts protein to what? To proteoses and peptones. So you might be asked, can this group of animals digest chitins? No. Now they also have a pancreas. They have a pancreas, which I just marked now. What is the function of the pancreas? The pancreas secretes the trypsin or trypsin. I don't know how you call it. Trypsin. It also secretes amylopsin and lipase. It secretes lipase. And this digestion that starts in the cardiac stomach proceed. And you have to know that since digestion starts in the stomach, the food that is there will be semi-digested. So the semi-digested food is going to enter into the intestine. It is going to enter into the intestine, and it is acted on by the bile and the pancreatic juice. It is acted on by the what? By the bile and the pancreatic juice. What is the function of the bile? The function of the bile is to make the food more alkaline. It is make the food what? Make the food more alkaline. And thus, it helps the action of the pancreatic juice. Remember I told you that what does pancreas secrete? It secretes trypsin, amylopsin, and lipase. What is the function of trypsin? The trypsin acts on the remaining proteins that is present. Remember that protein is converted to proteoses and peptones, but there are some remaining proteins. So the remaining proteins is acted on by what? By the trypsin. And the amylopsin converts starch into sugar. And lipase, which is the third thing, converts fat into fatty acid. So what do we have here? We have the what? We have the trypsin that acts on the remaining protein. We have the amylopsin. Let me say amy, that converts starch into sugar. And we have the lipase that turns fats into fatty acids. Fat into what? Into fatty acids. And the digested food now gets absorbed into the blood over the extensive surface of the intestine and scroll valve. So the digested food enters into the blood. Remember that once food has been digested, what we have to get there is the nutrients. So the nutrients enters into the blood so that it can be circulated over the what? It can circulate throughout the body. So that is what we have there. Now, let us now talk about we are talking about their respiration. So let us talk about their circulation, which is the heart and the blood circulation. And the image you are seeing here shows the heart of Scoliodon in both intact and diagrammatic longitudinal sectional view of the heart. Their heart is bent, and it is a muscular tube that consists of the receiving part, and the receiving part is called the sinus venous, and a dorsally placed auricle consisting of a ventricle and a conus anteriosus, which means they have the sinus venous, they have the conus anteriosus, and they have the ventricle. And you can see from this image that I have here, we have the conus anteriosus, we have the ventricle from this place. Now, the heart is situated on the ventral side of their body. I'll be showing you an image where it is showing the heart that is situated at the ventral side of the body, and the heart sits between the series of gill pouches. Why do they sit between the series of gill pouches? Is because gaseous exchange occurs between the blood that is coming from the heart and the oxygen that is stored in the gills. You see, the auricle is large. Their auricle, look at it. Their auricle is large and it is triangular. So if you see this one now, can you see? The auricle is triangular and thin wall chamber situated at the dorsal of the ventricle. So it is at the back of the ventricle that we can find the auricle. It is large and it is triangular, but it is found at the back of the ventricle, but at the front of the sinus venous. What is sinus venous? Sinus venous is the receiving part of the heart. Now, communication between the auricle and the ventricle is through a slit-like auriculoventricular aperture that is guided by a two-lipped valve. The receiving chamber, which is the sinus venous, receives blood from all parts of the body. And what is the function of the heart? Remember, I told you that it sits between the gill pouches, which means the function of the heart is to receive the oxygenated blood from all parts of the body and pump it into the gills for aeration. What is aeration? Addition of oxygen. So it pumps it into the gill for aeration. So the typical function of the fish heart gives it a name, which is known as the venous or the branchial heart. And why do we call it the venous or the branchial heart? Is because the heart only receives the oxygenated blood. It does not receive oxygenated blood, and that is why the circulation of fishes is single circulation from the body to the heart, from the heart to the gills, from the gills to the body. It is a single circulation, not a double circulation, not an incomplete double circulation. I hope this explains what we mean by single circulation. Now, so this is what I just explained now. But I said I want to show you a slide that shows the location of the heart. Can you see it is located at the ventral? Remember that this is dorsal and this is the ventral part of them. Ventral part of them. So it is located at the ventral part, and can you see that it sits in between the what? In between the gill pouches. So that is where it is found. Now, how about their nervous system? You see, the brain of Scoliodon is highly organized, and it is divided into the forebrain, the midbrain, and the hindbrain. The forebrain is called the prosencephalon. The midbrain is called the mesencephalon, and the hindbrain is called the rhomboencephalon. Rhomboencephalon. I think I should write that down. We have the prosencephalon. We have the mesencephalon, and we have the rhomboencephalon. And these three is the fore, the mid, and the hindbrain respectively. Now, you see the forebrain consists of undivided cerebral hemisphere, and this cerebral hemisphere is relatively larger than that of other fishes. Are you getting me now? They have olfactory lobe, which I won't be able to show in this particular image. They have olfactory lobe, which is used for nasal cavity. We have the olfactory nerve as well, and the surface of the cerebrum is smooth, but the walls are thick. The posterior part of the forebrain, which is the diencephalon, that is the posterior part of the forebrain, is called the diencephalon. It is short, it is thin, and it contains anterior choroid plexus. Now, their midbrain is large. The midbrain of this thing is large, and it is consisting of the cerebellum as well as the medulla oblongata. The cerebellum is now divided into three lobes, which is um and it is divided by two transverse furrows. Let us see for an example. This is um their cerebellum. It is now divided into three lobes. For example, it is divided into three lobes. Can you see that what we have here, the lines that we have here, they are just two. So they have two transverse furrows, but it is what? Three lobe. Lobe 1, lobe 2, and lobe 3. I get me now. Now, their medulla oblongata is triangular, and the medulla controls respiration. Medulla controls respiration. Medulla is found in what? Medulla is found in the midbrain. So we can also say the midbrain controls what? It controls respiration. Their hindbrain controls swimming movements. And their spinal cord shows a definite advancement towards towards the plan of higher vertebrates. And the gray matter, they have gray matter and the white matter, we all know that. Their gray matter is arranged into dorsal and ventral horn. You see, the dorsal horn are united to form a single broad region. As a result, the gray matter assume S shape of an inverted T, assume shape of an inverted T, something like this. The gray matter assume shape of what? Of an inverted T. And this image, like I just said, it shows the structure of the male as well as the female Scoliodon. Now, what can we see in this image? Let us quickly talk about that. You will see that in male we have a structure in the towards the anus, like at the end of the pelvic fin. It is called the clasper. Remember what the clasper is used for. It is used for what? It is used for copulation. It is used for what? It is used for copulation. So we have the clasper. So we have the urogenital opening. Remember I told the urogenital opening and the anus open into the cloaca. Can you see the cloaca there? We have the gill slit. We have the pectoral fin and the pelvic fin, just like they have paired fins and all that stuff like that as well. Now, what are the things that you are going to see in this one? No clasper for this one. Can you see that there is no clasper for a female dog shark? But the position of the cloaca, can you see the position of the cloaca? Which will be used for what? Which can be used for sexual copulation as well. Are you getting me now? And we have the fin. Can you see their fin? It is also an heterosacral tail. Can you see their tail? Heterosacral tail. They have paired fins as well. The pelvic, pectoral, the dorsal, and the anal fin. And they have the caudal fin as well. So this explains the biology of the Scoliodon. Don't forget to please subscribe to this channel. And thank you for being part of our beginning. Thank you so much. So in the next video, we'll be talking about the advanced group of the vertebrates, where we have the class Reptilia, the class Amphibians, the class Aves, and the class Mammalia. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it.